All right, let's just jump right in. Some stories, they're so powerful, so fundamental, it feels like they've just always been there, right? They're the stories that try to explain where we come from, how we should act, and even how we should feel about the universe. So today, we're going to look at three of the oldest and most influential stories ever told. I mean, it's one of the biggest, most universal questions we can possibly ask. And for thousands of years, people have turned to stories for answers. This very question is the launchpad for our first ancient text, a story about cosmic beginnings. So, we're kicking things off with a creation story from the book of Genesis. This account, captured in this really beautiful and rhythmic language, lays out a vision of how everything came to be, and it does it in a very structured and deliberate way. Now, the version we're digging into comes from the King James Bible, which was translated way back in 1611. So yeah, the language might feel a little old school, but its poetry and its sheer power have made it one of the most important books in the English language. What really defines this creation story is its clear, structured pattern. It all unfolds over 6 distinct days of work, moving super methodically from total chaos to perfect order. This was a pretty radical idea at the time. A lot of other creation myths involved violent conflicts between gods, but this one, it's presented as an act of design, logically building from the simple separation of light and dark all the way to a world just teeming with life. And it all starts right here. With just a few words, the story establishes a huge theme. Creation happens through speech. Order is literally spoken into the void. This phrase is famous for its incredible simplicity and its world-making power. It's the very first act of a thoughtful creator. On the second day, we get this line. And you're probably asking, what in the world is a firmament? It's a great example of that 400-year-old language we talked about, a word that's kind of fallen out of use but holds a key to this worldview. Well, the answer is actually pretty simple. The firmament is just an old word for the sky, that great big expanse above us. So in the story, God is creating this dome to separate the waters below from the waters above, basically establishing the heavens and the earth. This is really the climax of the 6 days of work. On day 6, after the world has been completely formed and filled with plants and animals, creation turns to humanity. And the language here is so important. In our image, after our likeness, it sets humans apart with this unique relationship to the Creator. It's the final and most personal part of the whole act. This phrase is a perfect illustration of the story's poetic rhythm. It repeats at the end of each of the first 6 days, almost like a chorus in a song. This repetition gives the whole story a steady, majestic, and predictable pace. It's like the world is being built on a reliable, orderly foundation. Okay, let's switch gears. We're moving from the creation of the cosmos to something a bit more human scale, morality. And for that, we're turning to the ancient Greek storyteller Aesop and his famous fables. So fables are these short, clever stories designed to teach a lesson. But they're not just for kids. In ancient Greece, they were actually a sharp tool for social commentary. It was a way for the powerless to critique the powerful, using animal characters to stand in for different types of people. We'll look at 2 of the most famous ones. The setup here is a classic rivalry. You have the hare, who's arrogant, naturally gifted with speed, and he just can't help but ridicule the plotting tortoise. A race is proposed, and the conflict is immediately clear. Will raw, overconfident talent win, or will persistent, humble effort come out on top? And here it is, the crucial turning point. The hare is so certain of his victory, he sees the race as a joke and literally falls asleep on the job. His talent has made him lazy. The tortoise, on the other hand, knows he only has one path to victory. Just keep moving forward, one steady step at a time, without ever giving up. And, of course, the tortoise wins. The moral has become one of the most famous sayings in the world, teaching a simple but really powerful lesson. Persistence can overcome talent when talent doesn't work hard. Now, our second fable is a bit darker, more of a cautionary tale. A young boy gets a thrill from lying, crying "wolf," just to watch the panicked villagers run to his rescue. He sees their fear as a game, until the day the game becomes terrifyingly real, and his past deceptions leave him utterly alone. The moral here is stark and direct. It's a powerful lesson on just how fragile trust is. Once you're known as a liar, your words become worthless. The truth itself is not enough if the person speaking it has zero credibility. You know what's amazing? It's how these ancient stories are still alive in our language. Phrases like sour grapes to describe envy or calling a hidden danger a wolf in sheep's clothing, they come directly from Aesop. His narrative patterns were so effective they've been adapted by storytellers for thousands of years, all around the world. So, we've explored a story about how the world was made and stories about how we should live in it. Our final source explores the human response to that world, that feeling of pure awe when we look up at the sky. This is the opening of Psalm 19. And hey, notice that word again, firmament, the sky. But here, its role has changed. It's not just an object being created. It's an active participant, a silent storyteller, a canvas that constantly displays the handiwork of its creator for all to see. And this is just beautiful poetry. To capture the feeling of watching the sunrise, the poet uses these powerful human images. The sun isn't just a ball of gas. It's like a joyful bridegroom or a powerful athlete, full of strength and purpose. This is personification, using human emotion to express a cosmic wonder that plain language just can't capture. So why have these particular stories endured for thousands of years? Well, I think it's because they work together to give us a complete picture, from the cosmic scale of creation down to the human scale of morality, and then back out to our emotional connection with the universe. This timeline really puts it in perspective. Aesop was telling his fables over 2,500 years ago. The King James Bible is over 4 centuries old. And yet, here we are today, still telling these stories, still using their language. Their endurance is truly remarkable. At the end of the day, these ancient stories endure because they aren't just entertainment. They serve fundamental human needs. Genesis offers a framework for our origins. Aesop's fables provide a guide for living in a community. And Psalm 19 gives us the language to express our profound sense of awe. And that leaves us with a final thought. These are just 3 examples of foundational stories from one tradition. It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What are the ancient stories, the myths, the fables, the poems that have shaped the world you see around you every single day?